Hey, it's Zim, and should you play Wizard of Legend? I'm gonna go ahead and say I think you should. It's a pretty amazing pixel art game. Came out a few years ago, um, and you can tend to get it on sale for only $5. It normally retails at 15. I think it's worth the 15 as well. But we're gonna go ahead and jump right in. I'm gonna show you kind of what it's about. So you are a wizard trying to become one of the great wizards of your generation. This is an area where you can edit and customize things and test out your abilities. We're going to go ahead and move to where we're going to do most of our battling. Now, this is a marketplace. These are passive buffs. You can only have one active at a time. You can buy more from here. You can also earn some in-game, and this is where you can buy spells. These spells are going to be your basic kit. As you can see, X, A, Y, and B, because I'm using a controller here, is kind of your main abilities for fighting. You'll actually unlock more as you do your playthrough. Most of those are only going to be temporary, though. The only way to really unlock them permanently is to either get drops from bosses or to buy them themselves. Probably hearing the game soundtrack pretty well. This soundtrack is one of the best I've ever heard in an indie game. It's truly fantastic. Just does such a great job. Now, each of these NPCs you can talk to and will allow you to customize the dungeon you're kind of heading into to give you more of a less procedural and more of a guaranteed, like, oh, you're going to fight this person. But we're going to just go ahead and jump in randomly. As we can see, we can automatically know who we're going against, which is air, fire, and ice. I'm not amazing at this game. I've played probably to the second boss a couple times now. But this is basically what you're going to be doing. You're going to be running around and trying to find the boss to move on to the next level. Of course, you don't want to jump straight to the bosses of each floor because you're going to want to get stronger. Gold is an in-game currency for just that you earn through these dungeons and will be lost after you've left or if you've lost. The crystals are a permanent currency that you earn, so tends to be worth it more to go for that. Notice you can't walk off edges. You can dash off edges, so you can mess that up and then fall. So what you want to always end up doing is run all the way to the edge to where you're essentially walking at it and then use your dash ability. But here we'll see some enemies for us. This is not going well for me. These arrow launchers are awful. It's also been a long time since I've played. I'm gonna be a little bit rusty. Subrooms will trap you, forcing you to fight essentially until all the enemies are dead, which means you can't kite any enemies. You just have to face them as they go about their day. You do have a signature spell is what it's called. It's essentially an ultimate move. Now, normally you can cast it and it'll do a stronger effect than any of your other spells. And then once you build up a super bar, it'll actually do like an even stronger effect, which is really cool. Miana's tough. So this is essentially an NPC that you can try to break, and if you do enough damage, he will drop his stuffing, which in this case is a spell. So there you go. We see that we've gained a 5th spell on our LB button that will allow us to use. It seems like it's a defensive one. There are portals all over. They will always take you back to the center until you find the floor boss, essentially. It's an archer. Some enemies will drop health. Health is a pretty tight commodity, and as most roguelikes, you kind of expect it, so just be wary that you don't want to get hit too many times like I have been. This is definitely a game that the more you play, the better you're going to do. Just muscle memory. So once you start glowing blue, that's when you have the ultimate. That ultimate will burn down over time, which means you only have about roughly 20 seconds to use it before it's gone. Now, of course, there are items that allow you to hold on to it for longer or have it build faster. faster, but that's just going to be dependent on your build. Just gonna take care of these guys real fast here. I really like Electric. Electric is one of the, so as we see, the blue bar in the top left under my health bar is starting to burn down. Once that runs out, I won't have this ultimate ability anymore, which is a bummer. No, but Electric is a lot of fun. Each of the elements does something differently, which is really cool, but I think Electric has the innate ability of being able to stun enemies, and that is important. If you can stun enemies, they're not going to do damage to you. Fire tends to do more stacking damage. Air is a lot about movement and control, and Earth is about kind of just hard-hitting, slow abilities. But this game is just beautiful. Like, I mentioned the amazing soundtrack, which it really is, but also, like, for a pixel art game, like, it honestly really pushes the boundaries of, like, what pixel art can really do. I often think pixel art is a very overused ability, overused art style, I should say, for a lot of indie games, and honestly, most of the time I'm pretty sick of it. I feel like I see like amazing like art for like the poster of the game that's not pixel art, and then you look at the game and it's like it's all pixel art, and you're like, well, this kind of didn't set me up. Now there should always be 4 portals, which means that we've missed a shop, essentially, or another zone. So it might be worth checking out to see where we missed. Looks like it's down by the Pinata. Yeah, I'm not too worried about it, although my health was pretty low, maybe I should be. Go check it out, why not? But yeah, no, this game really takes pixel art and brings it to the next level. And so this shopkeeper, he's gonna sell either items or, most importantly, health potions. I don't know if I want to actually buy this until I beat the boss. We'll buy it anyway. He's happy about it. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and do a floor boss. He always comes in with some additional enemies, something to be aware of. So when they glow yellow like that, they are immune to your damage and won't be stunned. So you gotta be very careful about that, because that means you need to back off, essentially. But when they're not glowing yellow is when you can stun them. Burst Mage is probably one of the easiest floor bosses to get. And then the floor boss will drop a chest. Tends to be crystals and other things. In this case, we got an item. So right now I have equipped is increased my lightning damage, because obviously I've done basically a lightning build. But the Mystic Monopole will lower the knockback of all Arcana, which means that my Arcana no longer are going to knock back as well. That's actually kind of a negative. Rip. And we'll move on to the next floor. Tells you how well you did. Should be able to make it to the air boss pretty easily here. The game is a fairly quick game as well. One of my biggest gripes with it is when you're starting out, you're pretty limited on your abilities, and you're just not going to have a ton of resources to unlock more things. So you're pretty much using a certain type of spell always, which, I mean, like, the draw of the game is obviously we're going to keep playing, so it's not that big of a deal, but it sucks that, like, for the first few runs, you're just wishing you could customize more, and I got hit by all of those. That's super sad. But once you can start customizing your mage however you want, it's really fun to just try out different builds and try out different combos with different cards and see what you can do with it. Miss that. Facing is important. Always be aware of where your character's facing, otherwise your spells are gonna miss. you use an ulti, well, you're gonna be a sad boy. Or girl. Or anything in between. Alrighty. Just keep on moving. What's this person want? So they will take one of my Arcana. It could be any of them, including your basic one, and then it'll give you a different one. Almost never worth it to do, but maybe you're looking for a challenge run, and that's where I would say that probably comes in the most. As you can see, most of the enemies are going to be pretty easy for you to defeat, especially in the beginning. The biggest thing is about just avoiding damage, which I'm horrible about, so I'm going to get hit by that. And this is going to be basically all your gameplay. Obviously, hopefully you do better than me right now. I'm doing awful. But you're essentially trying to challenge the council. These are all essentially considered friendly trials. No one's hurting anyone in the end. And you're trying to prove yourself worthy of joining the Council of Mages. And if you can do that, you will succeed. And you will be in the game. Looks like I got one off on me. Boing. And here's my favorite shopkeeper who's going to let me not die. Which is the most important thing. Let's see where we need to go. The map is nice. It'll essentially give you the direction you need. Normally worth exploring the maps, just because you're gonna want to find everything. Let's see what boss we get here. Strafe Archer. A little bit brutal. But can we not? Second Archer's been killing me. So as you see, that signature ability does a lot of damage if you can get him in it. We're gonna get some things here. And we'll move on to the first member of the council. Now this is always different, by the way. You're not always guaranteed to get air first, then fire, then whatever. Each time you go in, it's going to be different unless you talk to one of the NPCs in the marketplace, where you can basically guarantee where you want to fight and who you want to fight. So that's something to keep in mind. This is just a healing item, gets you a little bit more health before the boss. And of course they will show up, and all of them love to give you some puns. It would be a shame for you to come this far and choke under pressure. Throw caution to the wind and give me your all. Of course he's the air council member. Just like the floor bosses, they're going to be immune to certain damage types. They're going to want to avoid until they are essentially able to be hit again. So right here, they kind of do like a flaunting ability. You're like trying to capitalize on punishment. They can still be damaged, of course. While yellow, they just can't be stunned. So it's also something to keep track of. Okay. No. Don't want to be in that. That one on the face. Fine. Unfortunately, this ability seems to just catch you and not let you do anything. Might be the end for me. We'll see. It's a very tense first battle. Normally, if you've been playing for a while, these aren't too bad, but it can definitely catch you off guard. You haven't played in a while like me. There we go. Managed to pull this first victory out. Sail against the wind, are you? Then catch your breath while you can, for turbulent times lie ahead. There he goes. So with this chest, you get to unlock cards permanently as well as crystals, which will allow you to buy more cards in the market. So I've permanently unlocked the Hammer of Atlas, which seems like an Earth ability. And then we move on. And you're basically going to keep pushing forward as far as you can. Like I said, I tend to get to the second boss before getting stomped pretty hard. They are pretty strong. Now, you might encounter chests like this. This wants you to use an ice or water ability, and then 2 lightning abilities. And they tend to have different things in there. So in this case, 2 different items. Has a chance to fire off a pair of dragon arcs when using basic arcana. Seems good. And I have a sprite now circling around me that will poison enemies from time to time. So it's going pretty well for me. Another trapped room. All basic enemies are also going to be able to get stunned. That's kind of why I love the electric. Because I tend to do worse against basic enemies than bosses. I think it's got fire shield. That's not good. Fire abilities will also inflict what's called burn, which is what's going to do the extra damage while you're on fire. Kind of basically what you would expect. We could do the boss right now if we wanted, but I don't think I do. So, getting hit by enemies in a fire challenge is going to be very difficult because it's going to do more damage than the air. Air tends to be more board control, as I've stated, and so like you're basically just worried about being pushed around into other attacks. With fire, it's going to just keep constantly doing more and more damage to you. And that's something to take a worry to. These knights can give themselves immunity. That's why you might see them hitting through me, which is not ideal. But this signature ability might clear out some of these guys. These guys suck because they just break down to the little ones. And then it's pretty easy to find yourself still getting hit by like some nobody little. Everything does damage, which all matters, so yeah, the secondary run is not going to go great for me. Not a fan of this. And as you can see, these locked in room phases and the enemies will just get tougher and tougher as you go on each floor. And that's the game right there. I have perished, but not really. It's just a friendly trial to keep on working at. As you see, your gold will go down, but you have crystals. Those crystals can be spent for a multitude of things, including, as we'll go over here, you can get different cloaks. Each of these cloaks will do different things. So these are your standards, and as you can see, I bought the Vigor, increases max health and decreases my cooldowns one. It's a pretty solid one. Here's where you can customize your spells. And so you have 4 always. Your basic abilities, which each will correlate with different elements. An ability on your dash. Your standard ability, it's stronger than your average basic, but weaker than your signature, and then your signature ability. These are all going to be fairly strong and dependent on what you're trying to do. As we can see, that Hammer of Atlas is unlocked for Earth and is a signature ability. And then over here is where you can change out your relics. And they're always split up in different ways: offensive, defensive, or miscellaneous. Here you can just practice your abilities and combos and what you're trying to do. And over here is the camera. And what this is going to allow you to do is save and customize your different builds, essentially. So you can have essentially 3 builds that you can easily swap between based on what you're interested in doing, which is really cool and really nice. It's something that I wish some roguelikes would do, is like give you a way to save certain builds and allow you to do more trial and error customization. But it does work very well for this game. So, and then here you can buy different clothing. So this will increase maximum armor and health. This is going to increase gold gain and increase gem gain, so it's a good money one. Increases run speed and increases evade chance. It seems like a solid one as well. And these all cost magic gems, just like these spells will cost magic gems as you buy things. So let's say we buy this heroic leap. The next card will replace it. You can also be able to change out your spells in the marketplace, so you don't feel like you have to go back to your home base, so to speak. Oh, I've been invited for the Chaos Trials. There's tons of also just interesting and different ways to edit and change the game that I think is really cool. As you can see, I still haven't unlocked what's up here. It's definitely worth the play. And I think you'll find yourself like me, where you end up playing, 15, 20 times in one day and just having an absolute blast. The soundtrack is amazing, and in general, the overall production of the game is amazing. Anyways, guys, that's all for me. Should you play Wizard of Legend? I say yes, I recommend it. Definitely pick it up, whether it's on sale for what I got it at $5 or at its full retail price at $15. I think it's worth it either way. It's an amazing game. You should check it out. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you later.